Good evening. It's another episode of the Sheila Exchange, Friday evening, 5:30 p.m. Kuala Lumpur time. And as usual, you're here with me, Sheila Singham, and a guest. And today's guest is someone I'm really sincerely very excited to be on this platform with because I have tremendous admiration for him. For one thing, he's very funny. And then another thing, he's very brave, so very brani, this chap, okay? Now, I first came across the name Douglas Lim many years ago when I used to watch this popular sitcom called Kopitiam. And the character played by Douglas quickly became one of my favorites. I used to watch Kopitiam to watch Douglas, okay, because he was very funny. And so that role won him a Best Actor trophy, okay, in comedy trophy at the Asian Television Awards. That one, not small thing, a big thing, that one. Now, Douglas went on to become an actor for various other TV shows and movies, and he was featured in several commercials also. He also played a role of get this, MCA politician in one of his movies, which is where maybe he gathered some insight on why politicians are synonymous with comedy today. Just saying. So I kind of lost track of Douglas a bit until a couple of years ago when I saw him do his thing on stage, a stand-up comedy show at a club. He left me in hysterics. And I thought to myself, now I've seen every stand-up comedian in Malaysia from the old days to now, and I thought, this fella, seriously funny. I almost had me rolling on the floor, except that it was a dignified setting, so I had to behave myself, right? And he was the funniest thing I had seen on stage for a long time. So this past year, however, he's taken things up several notches with his brave and hilarious online skits that display his sharp observation skills of all things Malaysian. I constantly look out for his posts. I follow him. And because Lord knows, in this climate, we really need to get some people who can make you laugh in a really good way. And so today it's my pleasure and honor to have Douglas Lim on the Sheila Exchange to talk about funny business. Douglas, thank you for doing this.
Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much for the invite. I know it took a while for our schedules to align, but I'm very happy to be here, very happy to be engaging with you and your listeners. Can I make one small correction, though? I feel like I have to.
Can.
I didn't win,
you didn't win
the best actor in a sitcom at the Asian Television Awards. I was nominated. Someone else won. Word on the grapevine was that I came in a very close second. But, I lost to someone who is incredibly talented. I respect him so much, Gurmit. I lost to Gurmit Singh.
Oh, okay.
My character was going up against Phua Chu Kang, who, is still a fan favorite here in Malaysia and in Singapore. But, the competition was held in Singapore. Gurmit Singh was both competing. He was also the MC. He was also the winner. I'm not saying that some things happen, but a bit of a coincidence.
I agree with you Okay lah. Let's go. So now we can add he's a bit humble also. He's humble also. He corrected me and all that. And I agree with you But anyway, coming close second to Gurmit. Not bad also That fella is seriously funny. Okay.
And I was I think I was 19 or 20 at the time, so I was over the moon. I thought this was so fantastic. I mean, it gave me a lot of confidence. It gave me a lot of encouragement to continue in the industry.
Okay, great. So I want to start asking you some questions Douglas. So your ambition in school was it to be a comedian when the teacher asked you all to write down nak jadi apa, doctor, lawyer, engineer, you wrote what? Pelawak?
No, and this is something that I actually would like to address, and that schools in Malaysia, I believe this happens to schools in a lot of countries, but in Malaysia especially, children or the students are never encouraged to be funny. So it's always don't be funny. If you realize when you were in school, when you tried something, it was always don't be funny. And it can be quite suffocating to people who are funny or people who are naturally funny. So I know of a program in Australia, for example, they've got this program called Class Clowns, where they actually identify funny, disruptive students and put them in a program. And these kids eventually grow up to become some of Australia's finest stand-up comedians. So they know that they see the energy, they take it away from an environment that might be disruptive and they nurture it. So I'm thinking maybe that's something that could be done here as well. I have no idea. But so long story short, when I was in school, no, I never said pelawak. No one would in Malaysia. You would never say you want to be a comedian. I'm told a story that when I was a child, however, one of the first things I wanted to be was a clown. So I'm thinking maybe that was my child's brain identifying comedy, like to a kid. What is comedy? A clown, you know? And this was while I was in the Air Force base with other Air Force based children. My dad was a pilot in the Air Force, and most of the kids would be like, I want to be a soldier, I want to be a pilot. You know, apparently I said I wanted to be a clown. But in school, no. In school, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a scientist. I think the most wacky thing was I wanted to be a toy inventor or like a game inventor.
Okay, so I think today, if a child looks at how to be funny, it probably will be synonymous with being a politician, just saying. Anyway, what did you study originally?
I'm very I'm very concerned that you think children in Malaysia watch politics, but hey, I mean, if they do, all the best.
I think we should start introducing it to them because there's a lot of funny stuff going on over there. So in the end, what did you study originally? Want to be a lawyer? Then, so what did you study?
So I finished Form 5, which was what my parents set as the baseline. So please don't get involved in acting and in any of the things that you are until you finish your Form 5 your SPM. So I finished that, and then I was very fortunate. I got into theatre with under the Actor Studio, Joe Hasham and Fred American, and after that I already kind of got into television. So at the same time, I pursued this thing called Teaching of English as a Second Language, which is a government program. It was supposed to be twinning, I think here and then 2 years in the UK. And so I did that. While I was doing that, I was also acting in Kopitiam and recording an album. But I mean, I was young and full of energy and kind of directionless, so just doing everything I could.
How did you get into Kopitiam?
Audition. I was so the creator of Kopitiam came back from the UK after he finished his studies. He came back, all very young at the time, very excited about everything. So he came back and he was looking for actors. So he approached Joe Hasham to get some recommendations. Joe remembered me from a theatre production. I was a chorus member, so like ensemble, one of the small kids. There's one of the small people who with no character name, just kind of at the back doing stuff. And he put my name in. So I was summoned for an audition, and I went for the Kopitiam audition. And I remember being the third choice to play the character of Stephen the stylist. And when it came to shooting, the first choice just had a more matured look compared to the other cast. So it seemed a bit out of place. The second choice, what I heard was, had to go to the States to attend his sister's wedding or something like that on the day of the shoot. So it fell to this unknown, untested, like 19-year-old kid, and they took the chance, and I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, and the rest is history. So, and then from there, you did acting, you were cutting an album. So, see a guitar in the background means you can sing lah. And then you went into Kopitiam and kind of got into that whole comedy thing. So, how did that whole direction of going into comedy kind of like specializing? Because today, everyone knows you as that, comedian, stand-up comedy and all that. So, how did you end up specializing in that aspect of, the performing arts?
I think it was a combination of just general. No, I think it was a combination of intrinsic direction, like what I am most comfortable doing, as well as the initial show that I was in. So Kopitiam was a sitcom. So a sitcom is comedy. So what I started my career as what we call a comic actor, not exactly a comedian, a comic actor, but I learned, how to do some basic comedy, how to extract laughs, how to hit the lines, timing. And then what happens was, as the seasons rolled along, I would kind of be a bit unhappy at some of the lines in the scripts, you know, just again, all actors are like this, right? Okay, just to clarify, not just me. Some actors would just like, oh, this line is not so good. So I had the same thing. And then I would ask permission if I could sit in the writer's room. Could I also maybe write a few lines? And so then it progressed there. So I started writing scripts for Kopitiam as well. And so from then, I really found that, hey, I'm really comfortable doing comedy. I seem to have a natural affinity for it. Obsession, actually, with comedy. I'm always trying to find a funny angle. And so then from there, it just progressed to, you know, doing funny, writing funny scripts for commercials, going into, you know, hosting events by being the humorous MC, and then moving into stand-up eventually.
You did, and what did your parents have to say? And now, I mean, in the long term, looking at your career progress, they said no acting and all that, and then now you're, you know, somehow comedy.
Your traditional, I think, Chinese parents, always erring on the side of caution, always wanting the best for their children, always their view, I think, was limited by the options that they experienced, the options that they had growing up, the options that they saw from their worldview. You know, so my mom was a housewife, a dedicated housewife. She had her own passions, her own interests, her own hobbies, which she put aside because she felt that she wanted to concentrate on being the best mom she could be to her two children. My dad was in the armed forces, and you know, he felt that that was the most secure position, so that he would then have a pension. You know, it was that mindset. They tried their best to not borrow any money. So, you know, they were always focused on being financially prudent and frugal. And so obviously when I graduated, and the choice was either I start teaching, it was a posting to this place in Muazzam Shah, Pahang, or accept another TV job that had opened up for a show in KL. And so when I told them, I said, I think I want to go for the TV job. But there was some concern because if you look from my dad's point of view, the teaching job is just set for life, pretty much, right? You start, you go in, and then you got a base salary, you work your way up. I think with my ability and my qualification, I could have made you know, department head, maybe even climbed up the ranks to penolong kanan, who knows, you know, it would be stable. And so they really couldn't understand the decision to risk all that and be in acting, because unlike Hong Kong or even Singapore to a large extent, Malaysia, we don't have we don't have a system that gives an actor full employment for maybe, you know, 3 years, 4 years. We're not, very few of us are on contract, very few. Most of us are on freelance. So I have been a freelance artist since I was 18, 19, until just recently when I, you know, took on this role as a morning radio announcer, which is a yearly contract. So obviously it was very scary for them, but at the same time, they wanted to encourage me, and they said, look, we've got some savings. So if you you know, don't get any work, we can probably still help you out for a year. But after that, just you got to take care of yourselves, because, you know, they're not from a rich background.
Clearly, they must be quite proud of you now. But here's a question I want to ask you, Douglas. Along the way, your career, did you meet all those uncles and aunties at weddings, Chinese New Year, festivities and all that? Did they ask you questions like, hey, Douglas, what's your real job? Do comedy can make money, that kind of thing? God or not, people will ask you this kind of questions.
I was actually very fortunate, because I kind of landed on the other side, where my dad could not understand the amount of money that I was getting paid for doing one episode. To him, it's like, what? Because, okay, so although I was in freelance, although we are freelance actors and we don't have, fixed salary, and so it's very iffy, it's touch and go, the amount you get for being an actor on TV at that time, it's not a trifling sum. It's decent, it's fairly respectable, and especially for a 19-year-old at that time, most people who were 19 were not getting this type of money. And even when I came after that at 22, what would a fresh grad, that in my time, a fresh grad would earn about 1,000, I think it was 1,700, 1,800 base salary for my degree. I would make that in 2 days of a shoot. Of course, the issue is I didn't shoot every day. So people hear what I would make based on a project. And so my relatives were always amazed based on what my dad told them. I remember my dad's mom, my ama, she's from Malacca, but came to live with us in KL. She's not Baba or Nyonya or anything, but because she speaks Hokkien Mandarin, I speak English, Malay. I can't speak a bit of Cantonese. So the only way we could communicate was in Malay, was in BM. It's very funny. This old Chinese lady and myself speaking Malay in the house. And so when I would come back and my grandma would say, sudah balik kerja bagus So I'll be like, yeah, Mak, kerja bagus. Dapat banyak duit 300 And to her, like, she's from like 300 a day was like, whoa, this guy is minting it. He's like a millionaire, right? And I'd be like, dapat 300 But it was when we got paid, when we had work, it was more than comfortable.
I kind of like ask you that question because, sometimes the old school people, they kind of expect you to go out and work 9 to 5 in some place and then come back. Don't understand this concept of freelancing and all that. And I mean, until recently, right, until the pandemic hit and I started working at home, my mom lives with me and she started knowing what I really do. Before that, she would say, when people ask me, what do you do? What do I tell them? And I told her so many times and she'll still ask me because, she couldn't sort of grasp that concept. So Douglas, next question. I noticed that many stand-up comedians, they depend a lot on risque jokes and sexual innuendo and all that, right? Sometimes not even innuendo, but very direct, like Puma, comes to mind. And some use a lot of profanities, F word here, F there, F this and all that. So, I mean, I noticed you don't do a lot of that. So can one be funny without sex and bad words in their routine? Yes, because, there are some of you do that. Does it take extra effort?
I think whether you are a more, I wouldn't say vulgar, I don't like to use the word, but I mean, if you do use expletives in your set or certain taboo words, it takes as much effort to do that as to not do it. I think at the end of the day, most comedians, we are obsessed with getting the funny. We're obsessed with getting the joke. How we get there, it just we have different natural paths that we prefer. Some people prefer to use body language, big body language reactions to get that. Some people rely on deadpan, so almost no reaction, but they find that they've got the face and the demeanor and the what do you call that, attitude to pull that off. So Bob Saget is a very popular clean comedian. If you know Bob Saget, his sets are so wholesome and so clean. But he's also got a side of him that's a shock comedian where he says the most unbelievable, like some really bad stuff comes out of his mouth, but that's for a different audience. So I have that. Most comedians will tell you that we have so many jokes in our head. I've got so many jokes in my head that will never make it on Malaysian TV or even that will not appeal to the Malaysian audience. So I just don't do them. Doesn't mean I don't have them. It's a choice you make, I think. So for me, it was like, well, you want to do this, and in a stand-up comedy setting, in a club where it's people are having drinks, they're with their friends, maybe I can let loose a little bit more, have a bit more risque material, maybe some jokes about sexual supplements that eventually will lead to some stories involving couples in the bedroom. Will I do that joke in a corporate dinner where the lights are pretty bright and you're sitting there with your wife and your boss? Because you wouldn't be comfortable laughing at it. So it's not that I don't have these jokes. I have them. I'm a bit more aware of when to tell the jokes. And that is, I feel, something that people need to learn in Malaysia especially people who are not comedians. Because if you look at all the faux pas, you look at things that people say in Malaysia, certain people with, certain positions, the reason they get in trouble or the reason they caught so much anger and hate is not because they made the joke, it's because they made the joke at the wrong time, at the wrong place. Do not make a joke when an accident just happened, where people got injured. Do not make a joke when people are dying. Do not make a joke on press. I mean, like, you use a bit of brains, guys. Come on, just a little, not much.
I have a very interesting question, Douglas. What gave you the idea to put Tupperware on your face?
I was doing an extended metaphor video. The source material had a face shield. I didn't have a face shield. I was stuck at home. I went around the house looking for something. And my initial thought was to use the flat part, the flat part of the Tupperware. And then I couldn't breathe and my nose hurt. So then I found, I got this other one and it just fit right above my nose here this way. So it would fog up a little, but I could live with that. And then I put it there. I secured it with a rubber band. Initially, I just used one rubber band and it was too tight, and it hurt this part. So then I figured out, what would MacGyver do? And then so I just extended the rubber band, and that became the face mask.
That is pure genius, right? Pure genius. So another thing I noticed, right? You use metaphors very cleverly in your segments. Are you using them to illustrate or to masquerade what you're really saying, or both? Like, if you're pandai, then I'm saying like that,
Yeah, I think it's more of the second one. It's the more of just to try and mitigate and minimize any unwanted attention and unwanted reactions from people, because I've seen the litigious, is it litigious? What's the word?
Yes, we get it. The litigation that could.
So I've seen that happen to other comedians. I've seen some of the tactics they can employ. Some of the tactics they can employ to to get you to behave. So by using metaphors, it's not 100% proof, but it's a bit safer, number one, and number two, I get to add another layer of comedy because the metaphor itself can be outrageous.
Yes.
Like an ice cream shop. So there are a lot of things that can happen in an ice cream shop. Where I can use
the ice cream flavors. That was pure genius, I tell you. Why I'm focusing on this, because I love metaphors. I use it a lot in my work, in my training, in my writing, and so on, because I think that sometimes it kind of bypasses your critical faculty and you're not so didactic, and you're passing a message in a more subtle way. Having said that, Douglas, do you ever get a little afraid? I mean, you're incredibly brave, I must say. I've seen whatever you're putting out there, right? But we have been hearing like people are just like so bloody sensitive. Oops, mustn't say bad words. So sensitive, and that even when you speak the truth about something, you're getting hauled in and called in and all that. Is that ever a consideration to you?
Yes, it is. I think I would be lying if I said that I didn't care, or if I said that I'm not scared, because it's not just me. I mean, the people I care about could be affected as well. And it's unfortunate that we live under these circumstances where action can be taken not just against you, but people who maybe are not so strong, or people that you care about. Might be used as leverage. So I definitely, that is at the back of my head. I try and be as careful as possible. So for me, the big thing is just no names, just no outright names. If possible, no outright positions as well, no outright titles if possible, or use a way to just distance yourself from it. And because at the end of the day, my ridicule, or rather my comedy, is not a personal attack, you know. It's not about the person, it's about the deed. What you did was incredibly dumb. What you did was very insensitive. What you did is very disappointing. You as a person, I'm sure many people think you are awesome. Your wife thinks you're great. Your husband thinks you're wonderful. Your children think you're good. Your grandchildren love you. And you deserve all that. That is who you are, all right? However, in this position, you have done certain things that we are like, what is wrong with you? And we should be allowed to call out and criticize and make fun of that act. In other countries, people can do it more directly. In Malaysia, we work within the boundaries.
I do get a sense though when I watch you on social media, I know your segments, right? That you're having a lot of fun doing it. There's this sense I always get that you're waiting to burst out into laughter yourself. And I find that really like very refreshing. Now, so but going back to stand-up comedy, have you ever been in a position where you didn't get the laughs?
Many
And
times.
what do you do?
Many times. They're okay, well, it also depends. You got to do a quick analysis to what happened. Did you mess up the joke? Is it worth saving? So if you did mess up the joke, and you go like, okay, you know what? My next joke is going to be better. They're going to laugh. So let's move on. Pretend that never happened. But if you go like, oh, that joke's really going to affect the rest of my set, maybe go like, okay, guys, completely messed that up. So sorry. Usually the audience will laugh with you if you say that. Like, oh yeah. We wondered what was going on because I expected to laugh. We didn't kind of laugh there, bro. Never mind. We're with you. Continue. The audience is usually quite kind and they want to see you succeed, especially if you've built up a reputation. But sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes, you know, the audience is wrong. It could be that they are the language barrier, because, you know, Malaysia, the way we are segmented it's unbelievable. Not only do we have rich, poor, urban, rural, then we've got Malay, Chinese, Indian, English speaking, so many, right? So doing one event, you could get predominantly English speaking C-level people, but then you also get a whole strata of, you know, clerical staff who are Malay speaking, for example, or or Chinese speaking, and then you've got the people who run the operations who are from Bangladesh. So I don't know of any comedian that can play to a crowd like that. So sometimes when it doesn't happen, you got to cut your losses. Either just go power on for another 15 minutes maybe, and just go like, guys, I really tried. I'm so sorry. I hope you forgive me. I hope that I can get better and we can do this again some other time. Say bye-bye. Just run away. Just run and then cry by yourself. Or you can fight. I remember there was one event, a lot of people, and it was just very rowdy, I guess, because there were drinks. It got very rowdy. And when I got on, no one paid attention, but I was determined. I was like, no, I think I can. And I started chipping away. I started getting the people in front to pay attention first, and then they started keeping quiet. And as I told the story, the audience started getting annoyed with the noise. So they were shh. So then I got the audience shushing the people at the back. And eventually, after about 10-15 minutes, I got everyone to listen to me, and then we had a good show. They had a good time. I think that was quite a fulfilling feeling.
And so how do you pick yourself up now if you had like a no-show kind of a thing, right? Rowdy people not listening, jokes fell flat. How do you pick yourself up after an event like that? As you said, you just cut your losses and you go and then cry in a corner. How do you find that courage and, you know, the confidence to go back again the next time?
Well, now it's different for me. Now it's like, look, I know I can do well. These jokes have worked. I have done shows, so many shows, and they've generally worked. I have performed in front of locals, and I've gone to the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, performed in front of 2,000 odd Australians who had no idea who I was. And so I know I am funny. I know I can succeed. I had a bad show. I had one bad show. It was something happened, and so now I can pick myself up a lot easier, a lot better. It still hurts very much. It's still very scary when you're on stage and it's not working, and people don't laugh. I mean, even now, and I do virtual gigs, obviously, because we can't do live shows, right?
Right.
And so it's me, and then Zoom call. And sometimes, I'll be doing a joke, and I ask them to turn the cameras on, and so there'll be a few people there. Sometimes when they're laughing, it's great. I'm like, yeah, the joke is doing well. People are enjoying themselves. But sometimes they're not, and it does affect me. I'm like, why are you not laughing? Like, why is this person there not laughing? Maybe it's not funny. Number two, maybe the screen froze.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not even, or like maybe he's got some important messages he's trying to work while having the camera on. So yeah, I still feel that, but I think picking myself up from that is a lot easier now. Before was a lot harder, because before that, when I first started doing stand-up, it was literally 2 years of just bad shows. And that's very normal for stand-up comedy. When you start, you're going to suck. When you start, it's going to be bad. It will be bad. I don't care who you are. It's going to be bad. You are going to go through shows where the audience hates you. The audience just can't wait for you to leave. And how do you get back from that? Well, I think for me, it was a combination of three things. I think number one was people were still willing to pay me money to do it. So it was an economic factor. I think that, look, it's money. This is your job. You got to go and do it. The second one was that I believe I could improve, and I was very analytical about it. I was like, okay, I think I know why I failed. I think if I fix this, I can probably work my way around. And I think the third one was because I couldn't stop doing it. It was something that was
an inherent part of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will come back from a bad gig, feeling so down, feeling like the most unfunny person. It didn't work. But then my friend would call me up, and then we go for a drink. I'll be cracking jokes. So I'm like, why are you cracking jokes? You just failed so horribly at cracking jokes. Why are you doing it now? And they were like, oh God, I'm obsessed. I can't stop.
No, it's in your DNA already.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so coming to that, right, when your comedic self, and I just have to ask you this question, right? Is it an alter ego to a more serious personality, like Michael Jackson, right? Off stage, is so quiet, cannot make eye contact. Then when he gets on stage, he's like, wow, a dynamo, like the ultimate extrovert, like that, Are you like that? Like quietly at home and introvert, then out there you are like so funny, like that?
No.
Are you all that time like this?
Yeah, no, I'm not a. See, that one is, we all call in acting or in the comedy circuit or what, in a way we call that one, that is tahap genius. That means those are the people that are so incredibly amazing that they are so critical of themselves, and so they dare not play. When they are off stage, they are afraid to play because they criticize themselves so hard in their minds that they just keep quiet, and they're more centered and more internal. I think I am just a playful, jokey kind of guy. So no, I won't obviously be bouncing around, going joke after joke after joke, like at home or like when I'm with my nieces or when I visit my parents. But I'm not that tortured artist type of person. I'm just a very normal, playful, mischievous guy.
So basically, Douglas Lim, what you see is what you get. Wow, that's a relief. Like, at least I bump into you somewhere, and I know that we can just laugh together like that.
Yeah.
Not like some comedians that put your head down. So I'm just gonna wrap up, right, with the final question. You played an MCA politician once, lah. I mean, a couple of final questions. You played an MCA politician once, and your jokes are hilariously funny, but also disguised and masqueraded as they may be also quite political, lah. any ambitions of going down that line, Douglas?
None, none.
Malaysia needs politicians who are funny and intelligent, not funny and not intelligent. You know what I mean?
No, I know Malaysia needs politicians who are leaders and who care. So if you look at my content, I criticize, I make fun, I ridicule. Do I offer any suggestions? No, because I don't have them. I don't know what to do. I honestly don't. All I can see is like, I don't think that's the way. Can you do better, Douglas? Nope, of course not. I can't. I don't know how to do it. And that's something I'm aware of what I can do. I'm even more aware of what I can't do. And that is one of them. Trying to balance like the wants and needs of so many people at the same time. It's impossible. You can't do it, you know. So I understand how difficult it is for them. It's just that I feel what's happening now in Malaysia, something is very wrong. Something is, you know, is really messing with the system, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how sinister it is, but I just wish that maybe we could adopt a more service-oriented approach to things. Like, okay, so how can we serve? How can we serve? How can we make things as good as possible? And maybe, you know, after your career in politics, then think about amassing the wealth, not while, not during, but it's going to be so hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be so hard.
Yeah, it's so entrenched. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And so bringing it back to the final question, right, Douglas? Everything that you're doing, as I said, when I watch you online on your segments, I laugh not just because of your joke. I don't feel that I'm just laughing at your jokes. I feel I'm laughing with you because I always get the sense, and I don't know if everyone else feels that way, always get the sense that you are inside laughing at yourself, at doing this skit and everything, and thoroughly and vastly enjoying yourself. And it's so good during this pandemic, right? When you're hearing so much of gloom and doom going out there, to watch somebody who's essentially so thoroughly enjoying what he's doing. And I think as that spirit of what you're doing is coming up to all of us, and that's one of the reasons we look forward to your skits as well. It's not just the jokes, the humor, it's you. It's quintessentially Douglas Lim and whatever you're emanating at that. So, you know, you are bringing a lot of laughter and joy to Malaysians at a time when a lot of us don't have much to laugh about. COVID, government, no job, no gaji, no, cannot go out, cannot drink outside in the bar, you know, so many things. How do you feel about being that person, Douglas?
I don't think I consciously want to be that person. I just am. I'm like a puppy. Like, you know, a puppy somehow can just make you feel happy because the puppy just wants to play. He just wants to play, doesn't care what's going on. But at the same time, the puppy knows. It can feel that you're sad, that maybe your mood is down, maybe you're a little tired. And, you know, some puppies are a bit more aware, and they maybe will go and they'll just like, hey, you know, cheer up, come on, hey, here's a ball. Maybe you want to play with a ball. You want to see me play with the ball? I can play with the ball. I can roll around. I can do silly things. That's how my puppy makes me feel. You know, my wife rescues a lot of dogs. So some dogs come, you know, grown, but some are from puppies, you know, literally left in the drain, or, you know, they've been abused by the roadside. She rescues them, and these are, you know, you can see them. They come from you know, some very dark places. You know, like, oh, they've had some bad experiences, but they're always there, and they're, hey, let's play, man. Let's play. Let's have some, and they do the stupid puppy walk. And I get so much joy watching that. So I have no qualms being that to other people. Just this puppy who wants to play.
And again, to the audience listening, that's another metaphor. Douglas Lim, the master of metaphors, who uses it very, very sort of agilely, adroitly in all his segments, his jokes, that sometimes you say, really, is he saying that or not? Not so sure one. And I think that's amazing and that's excellent. I thoroughly enjoy that. Thank you so much, Douglas, for being the puppy that's making Malaysia.
Yeah, and anytime, man. Woof, woof.
Yes, I tell you, if they have designated some people as a national treasure, I would designate you as the pandemic national treasure because you make me laugh. You are one person who I can watch anything and everything you do, and I laugh. And I'm not that. I'm the type of person who can watch a comedy and not laugh throughout the movie one. No, I'm like that.
Comedians hate these type of people. I'm so sorry. For comedians, we're like, we call them hantu.
I know.
Like, when we are on stage, right, and we see one of these people there who don't laugh, who just sit there like, you hantu. We come back, we tell all the other comedians, third row, right side, one hantu. So we try not to look at you because you scare us, and we're like, I'm not looking, you're not laughing.
But here's the thing, Douglas Lim, every time I watch you, I fall down laughing.
Nice.
And then I forward to all my friends and family. Yeah. Okay. So I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Spam them with my comedy, man.
I will. And I mean, it will make their day as well. Well, thank you so much, Douglas, for agreeing to be on the Sheila Exchange. I'm really honored. I had fun with you. You've shown me that you're very funny, but also got such a depth, right? And that's why your jokes are even more funny, you know what I mean? Because of that depth, right? So thank you very much, Douglas, for being on the Sheila Exchange with me today. To our audience out there, you have been listening to the incredible Douglas Lim talking to me, Sheila Singham, on the Sheila Exchange. Till the next Friday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.